18.
Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Pavitra. There's a lot of queries that have come in. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But first up, a look at the market, which is currently holding up with a 70-point gain. So we've seen a good near 80-point recovery from the lows of the day. Like you can see, there's been a solid recovery that's been playing out gradually through the day. And we're currently almost back at the high point of the day, just around 15 points away from the day's high. The banks, by the way, have also come off the day's low in a big way. So 200-point recovery from the lows, 220 points to be precise on the Nifty Bank. And it's looking quite solid. Advanced decline, holding up well, 2:1 over there. The mid-cap, small caps, have been outperforming through the morning, but they have come off a little bit. Specifically, the small cap index, that has seen a little bit of, a cut since the morning, but it's still holding up with a near 0.6% gain. So all in all, this is a good-looking screen. The sectors which are really shining today, you have the metals pack and you have the real estate pack, which, by the way, for the week has seen a 4% kind of up move. So that's what's happening in terms of the market action on the upside. On the losing sectors, it's perhaps only the IT names, and within that, it is the larger IT companies that are seeing some cuts, because a lot of the mid-cap names, the likes of Cyient, Mphasis, all holding up quite well. So that is the shape of the market right now. We will keep coming back to this, but let me invite our guests on the show so that we can get to all of our queries. We have Kush Bora joining us on the technicals and Shaina Mukaddam, who's going to help us understand the fundamental side of things as well. Kush, Shaina, thank you both so much for joining us and taking out the time for this show as always. The first query that has come in is from Vaishali, who writes to us from Andhra Pradesh. She says she has 10 shares of PNB Housing Finance, which she bought at 695. And she also has 10 shares of Coforge, which she bought at 4,320. She wants to know what she should do with both of these investments. Should she be holding? Should she sell? I don't know how long she's willing to hold, unfortunately, but let's consider that, she is willing to hold for at least a couple of years. Shaina, considering that kind of time horizon, what would you think on both of these? PNB Housing Finance, where, she is losing some money, and then on Coforge, where she's sitting on a profit.
See, PNB Housing Finance, her cost would be lower because in April last month, there was a rights issue at a very discounted price of 275. The PNB Housing Finance raised about 2,500 crores. So she would probably have subscribed to the rights, so her average cost is lower. Having said that, I think she should continue holding the stock, in my view, because now the growth will come at a lower cost, as well as I think the last number showed us that they are showing improvement in their overall quality of assets. So, and the price to book is just about 1. So PNB Housing, I would continue holding. She's making money, in my view. But in terms of Coforge, I believe, she can actually either hold, because technically the stock looks like an uptrend, because all the IT stocks are sort of coming back. But she can also switch. See, now Coforge is becoming a large cap IT. So in terms of growth, there is no issues. They have shown a decent amount of growth in the last quarter, and they are guiding for a decent performance. But if you see valuations, in my view, it is one of the expensive IT stocks. So one can switch, I think, to either, if you're looking for a large cap, the valuations are similar, or even a small cap like Cyient, which is doing very well. Nucleus Software, they're coming out with very good numbers. They're in the small cap, mid cap range. So I would prefer switching to one of these stocks. But she can continue holding for the longer term, no issue. I think the stock will consolidate at current levels for some time.
Okay, got that. Very helpful there. Shaina, since you mentioned Cyient, I do want to get your view in on the kind of upside that you see, because this stock has rallied some 80% for the year already. I know valuations are much cheaper compared to a lot of its peers, but how much of an upside do you see here?
See, after sort of subdued FY22 and FY for both, I think Cyient, Nucleus, some of the smaller IT stocks, they've shown very good performance. If you saw the numbers that all have reported, plus if you see the growth momentum, they're talking of a strong growth. Especially if you talk of Cyient, they didn't do well because of their aero segment. Yeah. Their vertical did show some bit of subdued earnings last year, but I think going forward, numbers are likely to look better. better. And valuations now, even at 18, 20 times, I think is not expensive. So one can look to enter Cyient and maybe some dips because the stock has rallied so much. Any declines you get, one can look to switch from Coforge to Cyient or maybe Nucleus.
Okay, got that. By the way, Science peers, just for our viewers, they trade at valuations of around 50, 55 times. So in that context, 20 times is pretty reasonable on Cyient. But Kush, let me come to you as well. First on Cyient, and then I'll get your views on the others as well. This stock has already rallied so much. How much do you expect that it'll move from here?
Purely momentum play that we're looking at right now. Even if I look at the weekly charts, the volumes are crazy, and every day we are seeing the follow through coming in. But on any time frame that you see, it's now overbought. So my suggestion would be wait for dips to around 1350, 1400 odd levels, probably slightly lower as well, and that's when it'll probably become a more attractive buy. From a trading or an investment perspective, it looks stretched right now. The momentum, however, could take it up to 1550, 1600 odd levels. But then I wouldn't be a participant in this anymore at these levels.
Okay, got that. That is a view on Cyient. This was just a query that I tossed in because we were talking about this earlier on the show as well. But Kush, let me come to you on the query that her viewer has written in with, that is PNB Housing Finance, and then also she wants to know about Coforge. So what would you advise on both of these?
So look, PNB Housing is coming off a slump. It's made a recovery, but fizzled out at around 600 odd levels. So my suggestion would be hold on because the momentum seems to be coming back. But she may have to perhaps exit in a loss, assuming that as Shaina said, if she didn't participate in the rights issue, and that's indeed her buying price 690 odd, then she may have to exit at a loss. But I think 600 is where the stock could head to, and that will perhaps be a good place to exit the stock, lesser loss. Coforge, on the other hand, the momentum is picking up, as is in the rest of the IT pack. So this I would suggest hold on. 4850, 5000 is what the stock could hit in the coming months' time, which we're assuming to be the time frame for the investor.
Okay, got that. That is the first query that has come in, but there's lots more that we have, and I'm going to get to the next one. It is from Raman, who writes in from Karnataka. He holds 20 shares of PI Industries, which he bought at 29.90. He wants to know whether he should book his profits or stay invested. He's made quite a bit of profit on this. Shaina, what would you expect on PI Industries from here? Again, the investment horizon is not given in terms of, how many years he can really hold for. But what would you suggest for a medium to long-term kind of investor?
Well, I think here the valuations are a bit on the higher side. And while they have reported decent numbers, I think going forward, there will be a pressure in terms of raw material costs. So I would look to switch from PI. Actually, they have also got into pharmaceuticals. So I think instead of remaining in PI at such high valuations, it's better to switch to a pure pharma company, maybe like an Oro Pharma or even a banking company. I think there, in my view, the next 6 months will be better, given that even the monsoons are a bit iffy.
Okay, that is on PI Industries. Kush, would you agree with that call on PI Industries?
Absolutely. This is one where the technicals and the fundamentals seem to match. The stock has not been able to cross 3550, 3600 zones meaningfully, and he is sitting on a handsome profit. It's not a bad idea to book some profit and also switch. So yeah, book profits on PI Industries.
Okay, book profits, and you have made good money. So that investment has worked out. The next query is also, something that I will take up right now. It is from Lalit Khosla, who writes in from Punjab. He holds 30 shares of CAMS, which he bought at 1773. CAMS is currently over 2200. He also has 50 shares of Tejas Networks, which he bought at 518. He wants to invest another 50,000 rupees and asks if he can buy some IT stocks. So he wants, advice on both of the investments that he already has. That's CAMS and Tejas Networks. And then he's asking where should he put 50,000 into IT names. We have discussed the IT names already quite a bit, specifically the mid-cap ones. But Kush, coming to you on CAMS and Tejas Networks, like I was saying on CAMS, he's made quite a bit of profit already. Would you suggest, booking that profit and getting out?
Well, absolutely, because the stock, even though has run up quite a bit, it's still not given that kind of breakaway and on a breakout rally that one would expect. Plus 2300 is where the 200 DMA lies, and stocks not being able to cross that meaningfully. Now, given that he is sitting on a handsome profit, it's a good idea to cash in on this momentum. So CAMS, I would suggest an exit here. Perhaps if he wants to wait, then perhaps 2300 is where he could look to, but that's another 100 points. So CAMS either book profit here or hold on for about another 50-100 points. Tejas Network, on the other hand, is a very different story. The stock has gained from strength to strength. If we see the 20-day moving average has been respected for the most part, and the momentum seems to be building up, and the kind of news flow around it, I would suggest if it's a long-term position that he can hold on to, then 850 and 1000 is where the stock could head to. So I would suggest Tejas hold on for these targets. And I know we've discussed an IT stock already with Cyient, but one more name that I would like to throw in the hat is KPIT. Even this stock has run up quite a bit. So any dips, it should be on your radar for a fresh entry. So KPIT could be a pick from the IT space.
Please feel free if you want to add anything else. We get plenty of questions on IT, and we're always happy to have more recommendations. So Cyient and KPIT are good, but is there anything else as well? Would you look at any of the large cap names? By the way, if someone's looking to invest, say 50,000 right now, would you recommend any of the larger names, or it's all in the mid cap piece?
No, also a couple of things. See, the IT pack is actually now coming out of a slump, right? And you see the Nasdaq. If you see the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones, I'll just take quick 30 seconds. Dow Jones is in a bit of a downward sloping channel. Nasdaq is an upward sloping channel, and Nifty IT index is up 6.5% for the month, which means the flavors actually returned in the IT space, right? So HCL Tech is something that I have on my radar from the large cap space, and Persistent is something that is one of our preferred stocks. So KPIT, Persistent, and HCL Tech. These are some of the names from the IT space that we'd prefer to have in our portfolio.
Okay, got that. It has really been all about IT, even whether it's in the US. Maybe in the US, it's more about that artificial intelligence play, but the Nasdaq is up 30%. So whichever way you cut it, the IT space is looking strong. Shaina, what would be your picks for an IT, for allocating 50,000 to the IT basket?
I would go with Persistent and some of the other stocks we've already discussed. So even TCS in the large cap has been a performer and will continue performing. Now, if you look at the two stocks that are being discussed, Tejas Network, I would totally agree with the view. See, it's a turnaround stock, part of the Tata Group, who acquired 51% stake. So it's more like, it's making losses, but it's more with the management and the business prospects that one can continue holding, in my view. CAMS, I would agree that one can switch from CAMS because the numbers were a bit disappointing. And there are a lot of changes that are happening. SEBI is bringing some regulation in terms of cost, which, mutual funds can really pass on. Also, I think there are a lot of changes in terms of the government policy. So it would be, safer to switch from CAMS, which is quite expensive as of now.
Okay, by the way, on CAMS, we also had Chris Wood, who we were looking at his call earlier, and they've also removed CAMS from the portfolio, and they're looking at adding AU Small Finance for exactly that reason that you mentioned, that SEBI is looking at all of these changes. But Shahina, Kush, we have lots more queries that have come in. I'm going to get to it after this very short break. So please stay with us. We'll be back in just a bit.
ट्रेडिंग shouldn't feel like this, इसलिए हमने बनाया ICICI Direct Flash Trade, जो देता है clutter free experience, quick entry और exits, live tracking के साथ, सिर्फ ₹7 per order. Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
तू है तो मुझे फिर और क्या चाहिए, तू है तो मुझे फिर और क्या चाहिए.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
लो आ गई.
मम्मा, और कोई ऑप्शन है क्या?
मम्मा, लाइफ में और कहीं ऑप्शंस मिले ना मिले, मोतीलाल ओसवाल आपको देता है ऑप्शंस ट्रेडिंग में ऑप्शंस. इंट्रोड्यूसिंग मोतीलाल ओसवाल ऑप्शन स्टोर विद अ वाइड रेंज ऑफ ऑप्शंस इन ऑप्शंस ट्रेडिंग. एक्सप्लोर करो ऑप्शन स्टोर. Investment in securities market is subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
This car's electric for more reasons than just being woke.
Oh yeah.
And man, the money it saves you is no joke.
It's got enough range to get you anywhere!
And it's the go-to park when you get there.
The all-new MG Comet EV, the no-nonsense car.
Because just like us, this car cuts the crap, man.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Your Stocks here on CNBC TV 18, and we still have Shaina as well as Kush with us to answer all of your queries that have come in. So let's get to the next one. We have Manish, who's written in from Kolkata. He holds 100 shares of Caplin Point, bought at 680 rupees a piece. He wants to know, what do you think of this investment? Should he hold? Should he sell? He is sitting on a profit, and the buy price, like I mentioned, is around 680. Shaina, what would you think of Caplin Point right now? We were speaking to the management earlier today as well. The US business also seems to have seen a break even now. There is a small profit that they have reported as well. Do you think things are likely to, only move up from here for Caplin Point?
See, the US business is a very small business from them as of now. If you see the non-regulated markets or the semi-regulated markets, they account for about, I think, in my view, 90% of the revenues. So in that extent, they're more with the generics and less with, regulated market products. So it's a small cap company. In my view, it's better to remain with a pure pharma company, a larger company as of now. It's a well-managed small company. But I would take this opportunity, when they have shown 30% growth in turnover, profits, but the price has also moved up. So I would take this opportunity to switch.
Okay, and what would you recommend switching to, within the pharma pack?
Well, a cheaper stock, Pure Pharma, Aurobindo, can be a dark horse. Otherwise, you can have the regulars like a Cipla, Dr. Reddy, which give you a decent long-term return.
Okay, got that. So maybe switch out of Caplin Point. Kush, what would you suggest? The stock is up around 11% in 1 month. Do you see this kind of momentum continuing?
Even though modest, but the volumes have also sort of picked up in the last 10 to 15 sessions, and the stock is again moving up. We're also seeing a 20-day moving average cross over the 200-day moving average after a very long time, so suggesting that the momentum is there and likely to continue. So I would suggest hold on, but with a trailing stop loss. So the trailing stop loss could be around 730, 735 zones. The stock could very well head to 800 and 840 levels. So for this kind of momentum, it's a good idea to continue to ride this with a trailing stop loss. So ride this with a trailing stop loss of 735.
Okay, got that. That is both the technical and fundamental view on this stock on Caplin Point. But the next query has come in from Prasad. He holds 200 shares of VRL Logistics at 581. He's a long-term investor, wants to know what he should do with this investment. You can see on your screen, has made good profit on this investment, but he wants to know if it makes sense to hold on to the stock or not. By the way, this stock is down sharply today. Kush, it's down around 5% today. What is going on VRL?
Well, I think this is more of a profit booking, and the stock has actually reached to slightly overbought territories, and we're seeing a breakdown of a consolidation that was on for the last 2 to 3 sessions. So not very surprising by the direction, the magnitude, yes, but not very surprised with the direction. Now 690 and 680 is the zone where the stock could halt or take support at. So for anyone looking at a fresh entry, perhaps those are the levels to consider. As far as the query goes, I think there is a fairly decent amount of profit that he is sitting on. Again, the idea would be to ride this with a trailing stop loss of 660. The stock could very well head back to those 760 and 800 levels. So ride this with a trailing stop loss. The momentum has not entirely fizzled out. We're seeing a bit of a breakdown today. If it goes below 660 is when I'd perhaps be a little worried. But up until then, this is just probably a sharp round of profit booking that's coming after hitting the overbought territories.
Okay, got that. The stock is almost at 700 now. Shaina, would you agree that for now, at least you can hold on?
Well, you can hold on for now, but I would keep a stop loss as Kush has suggested, and switch any given bounce. Given the fact that while the stock has gone up 3 times, of course the performance of the company also has improved substantially in the last 3 years, but the stock has gone up 3 times in the last 2 years. And I think valuations at current levels, about 24 times, it's about 28 times FY24, is not cheap. Also, I think going forward, you're going to have inflation, hitting their costs, higher costs. You'll have higher fuel costs. Also, their older fleet will have to be replaced. So I think interest costs also will go up. I would take this opportunity to switch.
Okay, got that. So that is a view coming in on VRL Logistics. I'm going to try and squeeze in one more query before we wind up. We have Vinod who writes in from Hyderabad. He says he holds 80 shares of ISGC Heavy Engineering at 625. He wants to know what he should do with this investment. He is sitting on a loss. Shaina, would you want to come in here? He is sitting on a loss. Do you think it's better to sort of just get out at this level, or can he hope for some kind of recovery in this?
Well, it's a very old company, and things have just started moving. I think it's decades old. Things have just started moving recently. I would really not remain in this company, small cap. I would just switch.
Okay, switch from this one. Kush, what is your call on this? Because, I mean, I'm looking at the 1 month chart. It's up 30%. What would you suggest here, and why are we seeing this kind of crazy momentum here?
I'll make life easy by agreeing with what Shaina said. So there is no divergent view. See the sharp run that we've seen. This now the stock has been placed in the overbought territories. Now I don't see too much of an upside from here unless there is a dip to about 580 odd levels. So given that it's a loss, but it's not too deep a loss, I would suggest exit at these current levels. Look for better opportunities.
Okay, I think both of our guests agreeing there that this is perhaps not one that they would stay with. You can get out and look to switch to something else. By the way, Shaina, Kush, today there's so much focus on the auto names, right? Do you want to suggest some auto picks for our viewers, say if they want to get into the sector? Are there some that seem particularly attractive now, Shaina?
See, in the two-wheelers, I think TVS looks interesting even now, despite having run up. And I think in the four-wheelers, you can take your pick. You have Maruti, you have Ashok Leyland.
Okay, those are some options. Kush, what about you? If you had to put some fresh money into these auto names, which ones would you pick?
With the dark horse, Tata Motors, is finally giving a breakout, and I, given the setup, would like to believe that this will continue. My target on this would be 550 and 575. That's where I see the stock headed. So Tata Motors, ride the momentum. Could go further from here.
Okay, that is on these auto names. Do we have time for another query? I feel like... Okay, fine. So we're going to get in another query. This is from S. Chandra, who writes in from Kolkata. He holds 1,200 shares of SJVN at 27,000 shares of NHPC as well at 27. He says he's a medium to long-term investor, so he's willing to hold on for a bit, and he wants to know what he should do on both of these, SJVN as well as NHPC. Shaina, are these good stocks to stay invested in for the medium to long term?
Yeah, both are government owned, both are in the hydroelectric power sector, and both look decent valuations. So I would recommend continue holding both. Both have good order book as well as their capacity increase domestically, good orders in Nepal. So I would continue holding both.
Okay, continue holding both SJVN and NHPC. But on that note, we're going to wind down now. Shaina as well as Kush, thank you very much for joining us and helping us with all of these individual queries that have come in and taking us through the show. But with that, it is a wrap on this show with the news that the market, by the way, has seen a bit of a drop. So the Nifty is now just around 15 points in the green. There you can see it, a sudden drop has come through in the past few minutes while we were talking. Check out the Nifty Bank. It's now just around 50 points in the green. So you've seen that sharp drop across indices. Let's check out what's going on with the mid and small cap space as well, because there as well you are seeing some amount of correction come through. So the mid cap index around 0.25% in the green. There has been a drop as well on that front. The advanced decline, like you can see, has corrected a little bit, but it's still, of course, managing to hold in the green. So that is what we are seeing in terms of the market action. We have 1 hour of trade left. It's promising to be very interesting for as we wrap up on this week. But remember, you can always email us all of your queries that you have on stocks. We will take them up with our experts. I'm going to take your leave. You guys stay tuned. Closing bell is up next.